We're in your hands. Do you want to speak to these at all, Matthew?
No, I was. No,
Okay.
we didn't have anything to add.
Anything to add? Right. Questions?
Pretty straightforward.
Got to ask for questions. Councillor Darby.
Thank you, Chair. Just on F Roman 6, the cruise ship infrastructure, we understand from the workshops that that's a recoverable cost through levies on cruise ships that are visiting. It's for the use of the inner dolphin. The narrative makes it clear that it is the inner dolphin.
Councillor Darby, I'm just going to get you to start again. Can we? I know it's people getting.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I think it's 101.1.3. We're now well past the 6 hours, so we need to move an extension of time.
Been moved.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad he's done that.
Yeah, you should wake up.
I'm very happy he's done that. You do. Why didn't we take a vote on it?
We did.
We did.
We do. Third time lucky, Dick. Have another go.
You just wasted.
Okay, so if we could we'll just pause a minute, Councillor Darby. We've got people wandering around. We're almost there. All good. Right, sorry. Councillor Darby.
Thanks, Chair. I was referring to F6, and that's the $10 million allocation for cruise ship infrastructure. I was just repeating myself in terms of it's recoverable through cruise ship levies. But the narrative over the page, I think it was, lost my reference now, I think it, 27, fourth bullet point, paragraph 27, fourth bullet point, I think it is. I might be wrong there. Look, the narrative makes it quite specific that it's the inner dolphin. I would appreciate just the brackets after infrastructure, inner dolphin. Because, Chair,
Inner dolphin. Sorry.
I can't support a $10 million allocation for an outer dolphin, a mid-dolphin. It does say inner dolphin, and I would appreciate that being bracketed if the meeting is willing. In a dolphin after the word infrastructure.
Seconder is quite happy. The mover is quite happy to specify that.
The word dolphin?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's call it Maui.
No. So that's any further questions, Councillor?
Thank you.
Okay. Right, we have Councillor Wilson, Walker, all down on the W somewhere.
Who's Wilson?
Okay, Councillor Wayne Walker.
Where are we?
It's okay, Councillor Clow. Got a couple of questions. The first one, page 21, item 36. There's a mention here of additional money, and part of it's going to Ports of Auckland.
Sorry, Councillor Walker, I was just amending the resolution. Was that a question of me?
Well, I don't know who's going to answer the question, but my question is around the additional money that I understand is of the order of about $40 million for Ports of Auckland.
It comes out of Ports of Auckland, not from us.
Well,
Yeah. I think
it still ends up with us. That would be my assumption. I just wonder if we have
we have
any idea as to what it's for.
We do, and we've got some commercially sensitive information, but we have. Sue will answer that question for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the Chair, Councillor Walker, in the workshop yesterday, I said that I would reach out through the CEO of ACIL and inquire on Councillor's behalf, which I have done. The information that we have been provided with shows that essentially that is a split between the renewal of assets, for example, replacement tug, essentially to keep port operating. The balance is around growth, and that is in the form of additional cranes and continuing with the port automation. As the Chair has indicated, that is it's all quite commercially sensitive. However, we have taken a look, and when I say that we, I mean myself, Matthew, Stephen has seen this as well. We are satisfied.
Okay. The other question I've got is on page 25, and I know, I'm mistaken there. It's item 25, and that is around the money for the mass transit solutions, and it mentions there $10 million of increased operating budget. And my question is, why wouldn't we be capitalising that rather than operationalising it?
So I'm happy to respond. The main accounting consideration there that the business is always having to think through here is when you're incurring expenditure kind of in the discovery phase and pre a project being confirmed with the appropriate sponsors. So typically you'll write off and expend your money as operating expense prior to it being stood up and confirmed and fully approved as a full capital project. So that's all that's occurring there.
Does that prevent us from capitalising it later?
No, that would give us some rights if, in fact, we go ahead with, light rail, for example.
Okay.
Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Philippine.
This is F and number 1, 500,000 operating budget. So in regards to this gentleman, there's $500,000 in there. What happens with the money in the long-term plan for homelessness that we've put in there? It's currently in the 12 to or 15 to 18. Is that centred for? I don't know. Well, I don't know. This is why I'm asking whether it's.
Through the chair, I'd like to feel like I could answer you, Councillor, but I'm sorry I can't. We did organise, and I'm wondering if Kathy Casey might even be able to help here. So we did organise a briefing for Councillor Casey yesterday afternoon.
The question was, is that in addition? Yes.
So it's in addition to the money that we currently have in the long term.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's extra. Yeah,
Yes,
it's
it
extra
is.
money.
I can talk about what it's for if you like.
Well, I've got the reason why it's for. The current money in the long-term plan, this is why I'm asking the question. The current monies in the long-term plan, I thought was also there around the collaboration and bringing people together. I don't know, and maybe Councillor Casey can answer that or anybody else.
So through the chair, I will help with one piece just to make it really clear.
Yes.
This is new money. So there was no proposal that we're taking any money away. This budget would add 500,000 to next year's budget. Yep.
But I mean, I look at if it's going to be added to, I just want to ensure that the money that's currently in the long-term plan is not actually there for what the purpose that I've been explained.
No.
So that's all I want to confirm. And so if somebody can answer that, I'm happy as Larry, even though that's not my name.
The majority of the funding in the long-term plan is for the Housing First project, which is being done in conjunction with government and the voluntary agencies, which will see 472 chronic homeless people rehoused within 18 months. But it's already started. It started in March, and over the next 18 months, that will be so the majority of that money is going in there.
Oh, so the majority of that money's gone, and this particular fund then through you,
will
Chair,
be used for a whole variety of different things, which I'm happy to
which
tell you
includes what we've just done with the money in the long-term plan.
Nope.
Extra initiatives.
Can I talk about
I
what?
know it's extra, but I mean, it's just been explained by Councillor Casey that it is getting government NGOs around homelessness and housing the people, right?
Yep.
And my understanding is this extra $500,000 is going towards collaboration with NGOs, with the government to do the same thing.
No. If I might have just a couple of minutes, right? There's a whole
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
What's happening? Is this a workship or an actual meeting?
No, this is why I'm asking my questions through the chair.
I'm going to ask
in regards to
Councillor
my question.
Casey to explain that it is for new initiatives.
Thank you. It does come through my committee, and Councillor Cooper was on it, so she'll be aware of some of the strands that we are currently pursuing, which are, for example, the James Liston Hostel is being redeveloped with some money from the council. We are looking at a regional strategy. Now, we did have a housing action plan, and through your committee, Alf, that work is being done to have a regional framework. We get lots of good ideas coming to us. It needs to fit into the proper framework. So that work is being undertaken. We are looking at the Court of New Beginnings, which is the homeless court. It's an evaluation that's ongoing. We have been funding it. There's an evaluation coming this September to look at that ongoing process. What else can I tell you?
No, so this 500,000, sorry, it goes through the chair. This $500,000 is extra, but it's not going towards what you've just told me.
It's going towards everything I'm talking about now.
Okay.
New initiatives.
Right, I think there'll be a further explanation.
I'm not finished. There's a whole pile more.
Okay, yep.
I don't. Can you articulate what the issue is for you right now? Because I'm not quite sure.
The issue I had, and with the question in regards to the 500,000, the money we put into 15-18 long-term plan was set aside for A, B, C, D. Right? I've now been just told that the $500,000 that is new money is going to be spent on A, B, C, D. I'm asking whether the A, B, C and D of both monies are actually the same for what this initiative is. If not, fine.
They're not.
But well, that's what I'm asking, Kathy. That's the only reason I'm asking.
Very clear, they're not.
Okay.
The bulk of the LTP funding is going into Housing First, which is a magnificent project.
I understand that because I supported it when it got through. Yep. I just want to make sure that this extra $500,000 is not then doing the same job. Because
Okay, we have
yeah.
settled and there can be a further conversation offline on that to clarify things. So we have Councillor Mike Lee and then Councillor Cooper.
Just a quick comment and some questions, Mr Chair. CapEx, operational CapEx, year-to-year CapEx for the Ports of Auckland is the business of the Board of the Ports of Auckland and also Auckland Council Investments Limited, but not the business of this council. It's interesting, however, that a dolphin at the end of Queen's Wharf is the business of this council, and I support Councillor Darby's amendment to qualify that as an inner dolphin. There's been quite a lot of debate about what a dolphin is, but we'll leave that to one side. My concern is there are 2 points. One is the cost side of things. A $10 million dolphin is a very, very expensive dolphin. Bear in mind that the Regional Council paid Ports of Auckland with the government for Queen's Wharf, and it cost the Regional Council $20 million and it cost the New Zealand Government $20 million, $40 million all up for the whole wharf. It would be absurd for an attachment at the end of Queen's Wharf to be costing $10 million. So I think we need to be careful about that. The other point is the statement that it's going to be paid for by a cruise ship visitor levy, which I'd fully support. I wonder about the actual mechanics of that, the legality perhaps, but I imagine it's really an estimated charge on Ports of Auckland, and they can levy it in terms of the berthage that they charge the cruise ship companies, and it works that way. Yeah. Can someone explain?
Yep.
So you're right on the latter. That's our understanding. Panuku have been working this through with ports, and that's the intended arrangement.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you. I'm a bit gobsmacked that we agreed in the long-term plan that it was $500,000 a year, quite rightly, for homeless initiatives, and now, sort of at the 11th hour, oh, it's another $500,000. And what I really don't understand is, you know, our local board has been asked to fund a regional report, the local board. Oh no, that's too hard. No, that's not recommended to be paid. That's only 100. No, now we're going to have to, and we're asking, what can you cut to have it? You know, Glen Eden's been waiting since 1989 to get a town centre upgrade. We don't put enough money into pest and weed management. You know, our beautiful forest is just being devastated. We don't have enough compliance officers, building inspectors, to do all the work that we're supposed to do. We're not an NGO. We're actually a regulatory body. You know, and I just look at this and I go, what the money that could use, and it just seems to me that, you know, if it's almost like who you know, not what you know, and I'm really kind of disappointed that we've been told that we've got cut.
I take objection to that remark. I'd like it recorded in the minutes or withdrawn.
But then we can find $500,000 bucks.
I don't want a point of
Under
order.
standing orders, I take objection to the remark that was made.
Issue,
Either
and then,
apology or withdrawn.
I never mentioned you. And so we got one.
Sorry,
we've got one
sorry,
small.
excuse me.
Under standing orders, I'm allowed
sorry,
the point
I
of
was
order.
talking. Excuse me.
Sorry.
I was talking here. I didn't hear your point of order. Could you please state?
I
it?
object to something that the councillor said. She said it's about who you know, and she meant the money for the homeless, meaning something to do with me. Never at any time have I lobbied for $500,000 for the homeless. This completely came out of the mayor's budget. He told me about it, so I want the remark.
Okay,
absolutely
I apologise
withdrawn.
for that, but everything else holds. I'm really devastated that we're putting this into a narrow thing when we've got need all over the region for multiple things. We can't even enforce the bylaws that we have because we don't have enough people to do it. You know, and that's what Auckland expects of us. You know, we're doing our very best and we're being asked to cut and cut and cut, and then we have these sorts of things. So, you know, I'm not going to vote for that one, so you can put a mark against it. I'm happy with everything else. I think they're good things. We need to do them. They're absolutely critical for the whole region, but I'm not going to vote for that.
So just to clarify, two things there, Councillor Cooper. One is the $100,000 you referred to do the review of the Waitakere Ranges Heritage Act is going to be found by staff. The local board, Waitakere Ranges local board, will not have to absorb that, and that will become a permanent thing every 5 years, where it will be done centrally.
And I'm grateful for that, but it will be having to find it from somewhere else, and that's what we were told yesterday. What would you like to cut for us to do that?
And then let us be quite clear about the $500,000. The $500,000 was a mayoral proposal. It has come from the mayor's office. We then agreed to go out and consult on that. We have now got a new mayoral proposal, and it is in the mayoral proposal. And of course, you can vote against it or note against it if you want to. But let's be quite clear: it has not come from anyone else, departmentally, nor other councillors. It has come from the mayor. Oh, we have Councillor Simpson.
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship. I was just going to ask the figures just to confirm, because I'm on the homeless. I'm actually agreeing with this. I think we have a terrible problem, and what this budget is actually doing is asking us to collaborate with government agencies and not try and do it all ourselves. But can you just confirm what Aucklanders' response was to spend this money when they're not talking?
She can just say that.
Sorry. What was Aucklanders' response, please? Confirm the percentage of people that agreed to spend the money on homelessness.
Yeah, through the chair, there were about 300 feedback points, and the majority of them supported it.
Councillor Casey.
Well, just to respond to my colleague, Councillor Cooper, I don't know if she heard the Radio New Zealand news. This is the Ministry of Social Development figures this morning.
Point of order.
Okay.
I thought we'd already done that.
That's not a point of order.
But Councillor Casey is going to just respond to a general inquiry and comments made by several people.
Yep. I think what's important is, to date, the homeless problem has been assigned to the centre of Auckland. And you know...
Point of order.
Who said that?
Councillor Casey has the right to speak once. She's already spoken once.
I thought it was a question first time. She's now speaking to the debate.
I was answering a question.
She answered the question.
No, you are speaking to the debate, Councillor Casey.
What we're doing with the 500,000 is acknowledging that Auckland region has a homeless problem. There are homeless people out west. The outreach service has shifted from the centre out to the west. Eventually it will be in the north as well. So it's about recognising the bigger issues. The head count that the Auckland City Mission did last year won't be replicated again. Instead, we'll be doing a region count. For the first time, we might have an understanding of homelessness in its whole guise across the region. And the best thing that that councillor could do is get the government to recognise it's actually a national problem too, and it shouldn't be just left to the ratepayers of Auckland to fund and to deal with. We are doing our part. It's time the government did theirs.
Thank you, Councillor Casey, and I do note that the objection to that councillor, so but we note that. Councillor Cooper's quite right. Right, well, moving on. We are reviewing the rapid pace here now. Is there anyone else who wants to speak to the debate?
Just in reply.
Yep, in reply, so Councillor Darby. Yes.
Thank you. One thing I don't wish us to overlook here is the additional spending that we're allocating to primarily the public transport network, and it's quite significant. And I think this starts to signal, in my view, where we need to be going with our 10-year budget that we'll be working up starting probably next week. You can see the numbers there in favour of the CRL, but that aside, when you look at the Roman 4, that's quite significant, members. If you look at the eastern part of Auckland, Councillor Quack's, Councillor Stewart's territory, their constituencies are well isolated from rapid transit, and they get on the Pakuranga Highway or whatever other highway there is out there, and
maybe you should come out there sometime, Councillor Darby.
You will remember that I was at Stockade Hill looking at another project of your interest that you're reminding me of as well, Councillor Quacks, which we are advancing. And there is no way out other than maybe at best a ferry out of Half Moon Bay, but that doesn't suit too many people, though the popularity that's going up. Or you find your way to a bus, and that is entombed with the congestion of that car dependency that I described. So there is quite a lot of money going into advancing, bringing forward the Amity Panmure Pakuranga busway, and I think that is a great thing, and I don't want to see us overlook this in Mayor Goff's budget. It brings rapid transit a long way further forward. Remember, that project was due to be completed in, I think, 2028, so it brings it forward significantly and gives greater access to, I don't know, Councillor Quicks, how many tens or 50s or hundreds of thousands of people are in that area, but it is significant. So there's a great willingness, I understand, with the NZTA to look at the financial assistance rates for the Amity project and to increase them substantially. So thank you to NZTA. There is a real collaboration on bringing this project forward, but it cannot be done without this budget. I know it will get supported, of course, but it's contingent upon us passing this particular part of the budget. I'm also mindful of the $10 million allocation for working up the route, protecting the route for LRT. The government have identified light rapid transit to the airport as 30 years hence. I know that most of us around this table won't be hanging around for, what's that, 2048? The government...
88, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Howard. Well, thank you for that chronological account there of your age. So I think this is a really important issue for us as a council, and I think we'll be doing a lot more work on light rapid transit to the airport out of the city centre. In fact, I think we'll probably be discussing a much bigger light rail plan of Albany, city centre, airport, Manukau, Botany, wrapping right back to the Panmure rail station as we start to socialise some of the ideas that we can be putting on the table for our 30-year vision for Auckland through the Auckland Plan refresh and the 10-year budget. So this is just a taste of big things to come. We're going to have to double down on public transport in our 10-year budget. This is just the beginning, and some other things are going to have to fall away to allow us to do these, the critical part of our work. So really want to draw some attention to this because we have probably spent up a lot of our energy today on other important issues, but this is ultimately the big issue for Auckland is about connectivity, and here it is, a new beginning.
Good points there, Councillor Darby. We have Councillor Mike Lee.
I hesitate to criticise a fellow member, and I mean this in a constructive way. It's important that we become technically literate when we're talking about transport, whether we're talking about mass transit or rapid transit. It's fundamentally wrong to refer to trams as rapid transit. They are not. Light rail transit is not rapid transit. Light rail transit vehicles are what the Europeans and the Australians call trams. The Americans call them light rail vehicles. It's the same thing. And they certainly have a mass transit function. They are not rapid transit, which is why the great city of Melbourne, which probably has the best light rail system in the world, is not contemplating using trams for Melbourne, for the future rail link to Melbourne Airport. And I invite members to get over there, especially people like Councillor Darby, who's a leader in our planning, to get over there and get himself familiar with what is going on in the technical details of trams, light rail, rapid rail, and then he can talk with a little bit more conviction. But to be spending 10 million on trams and calling it rapid transit is wrong.
Thanks for the lecture.
Trams on Dominion Road will not be rapid. If you want to get to the airport in a hurry, I wouldn't advise it. Much better that we link rapid transit to the electrified railway at Puanui, the main trunk line, and build on our investment in the city rail link. So one could theoretically, Councillor Darby, you could catch a train just at the station up the road there, not very far at all, and you'd be able to get there a hell of a lot quicker than on a tram down Dominion Road. This is a fundamental strategic blunder, members.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. Mayor Goff.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's been a long day and it's starting to show in some of the debates, so let's try and keep it as good-humoured as we can. I'll be very brief on this. Can I thank Councillor Darby? Among all of the other things that we're doing today, I'm sure the media will overlook the fact that we're increasing our infrastructure spend by a couple of $100 million, and we'll be spending $2 billion on infrastructure this year. So you're right to draw attention to that. That's good, and we know that we need to spend a lot more. I just want to come back to Councillor Cooper's comments about the homelessness. I did foreshadow this right at the beginning of the mayoral package, and I was interested, just driving in this morning, listening to the Radio New Zealand interviewing West Auckland groups talking about the doubling of homelessness in that part of the city. It is a worry. It's a worry within blocks of where we are right now. I did not grow up in a city where in every second doorway it seems that somebody was rough sleeping overnight. The $500,000 is a very good investment because it leverages off an agreement with government through discussions I've had with Amy Adams to put another $3 million into a Housing First program. And we work with 5 exemplary NGOs like the Auckland City Mission, LifeWise, the Wise Group, Vision West, to actually start addressing a problem that is very obvious to all of us as Aucklanders. So I make no apology for that investment. We can't do it on our own. We are limited, but we can act in a coordinating way to bring central agencies and NGOs together, and both government and NGOs are very grateful for the role that Auckland Council is playing, and we're equally grateful back for the role that they are playing in addressing one of the fastest growing and worst social problems that afflict our city. So thank you very much to councillors for their comments and their debate, and I commend this clause to the council.
Well, the debate is closed, I'm afraid. Sorry. Let's move on.
It's not about any of these things.
That's okay then.
We've got another meeting to go to.
I'll second that for you.
Okay, I tell you what, we actually don't think it's all over. We have a potential G coming up after this, so maybe you can ask the question if it's... So, we've got F, and you've got F1 down to, sorry, I can't see on there, to X, so we've got 1 to 10. I'm not going to read them. People want a division on this? No? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? We will note it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
I'd just like my a note of my vote against item 1 and 5, please.
Okay, so it's not unanimous. So that's been noted. No one else wanted to note. Councillor Cooper, F1, Councillor Cooper? Yep. Okay. And Councillor Sayers, so we've got the three there.
Thank you.
Councillor Quacks, Councillor Sayers. Okay, so that's been noted. Right. Now we have another amendment that's been put up by Councillor Mike Lee, so we're just going to put that up there, and seconded by Councillor Watson. I'm actually going to ask Mr McNaughton Warwick to come forward and just talk. I've got a feeling this is actually out of order, but we will just get some clarification on this.
Oh, what?
So the question is whether the amendment's in order. The standing orders don't define what an amendment is. The rule that I usually apply to whether something is an amendment is to look at what you've got in front of you and to ask, well, exactly what words is it amending? It may not be a valid amendment, but nevertheless, if a meeting is considering an item of business, considers a motion on the table, dispenses with it, it's quite permissible for a member to raise another motion if it's relevant to the item of business before the meeting. And the process for doing that is that the member moves the motion, the chair decides whether the motion's in order, invites the seconder, and then puts it in front of the meeting to debate. In terms of deciding whether it's in order, there are some grounds for refusing a motion. They are very few. So I've mentioned the issue of relevance. In this particular case, there is relevance to the overall budget, but perhaps not to the actual recommendations contained in the recommendations by the Mayor. So that would be a ruling that you might make. If you decide to allow it, then you might want to test the will of the meeting as to whether the meeting wishes to discuss it. As I understand it, that issue is intended to be reported at a later meeting, and so once the motion's on the floor, you might test the will of the meeting with a procedural motion to defer it to the further meeting.
Right. Could I respond to that?
It's a case of
Mr. Chairman, because it is in the business of the meeting today, it is in the budget, it is a central part of our funding, and I think it is pertinent to discuss a sell down of $100 or $200 million when we have spent so much time on 0.5% rates increase, which equates to $7.5 million, or 1.9 million for the living wage, or even 13 point something for the so-called bed tax. So I think it is pertinent for us to discuss it at this meeting.
Right, I have thought about this, and I'm going to rule it as out of order because the relevance to this annual plan is not quite that clear. We still will have 130 million left to divest, and it is not part of this annual plan budget, so therefore that is for a future meeting. It is coming back to the Council as per an earlier resolution. It's coming back to the Finance Committee on the 20th of June for further discussion. It is relevant for the LTP, there's no question about that, and so therefore from the 20th of June meeting we'll get some direction from councils where they want to go for consideration in the LTP. So I'm going to rule that it is out of order, and therefore it is out.
Mr. Chairman, I would challenge that ruling, but I believe staff have taken out that ability from the standing orders now, so I can't challenge your ruling.
Consideration of extraordinary items, because I'm just thinking, did we put those F? We did, yes. So there are no extraordinary items, so
It's extraordinary.
I can then close the meeting. And we're going to take 5 minutes, so there'll be a slight restructure of the seating, etc., and then 5-minute break, folks, for...